Is Disneyland or Walt Disney World the better vacation destination? We're duking it out in today's episode.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica. Now let's jump into this week's episode.
Okay, Jessica, Disneyland versus Walt Disney World. This is a hot topic. If someone posts this on Threads or X, formerly known as Twitter, it gets a lot of comments and people can get pretty darn heated. So I know what your answer is to this, but I'm going to say my answer used to be a very strong Disneyland, but I have to say it depends. Like, I really think it depends. What are your thoughts immediately when someone says Disneyland or World?
I say Disneyland immediately. When we went to Disney World for the first time, it was a shared experience. I was there with you, and we were there with some other content creators. And somebody asked me, okay, so now since you've been here, what are you thinking? And I said, but it's kind of like prom. Like, you are so excited and you do all the planning, and then you like go to the actual prom and you're like, this is okay. But then like a few weeks later, you're like, prom was the best. And he said, you're comparing Walt Disney World to prom. And I was like, absolutely.
I love that. Yeah, I will say one reason I really want to talk about this is because of the fact that I think for you and I, as Disneyland regulars and experts, I think a lot of what kept us from going was it was overwhelming, right? It was like, we don't know all the things like we do at Disneyland. For us, Disneyland's like, we've got it down. Like, we know, even when we're testing new things, we have an idea of what we want to do. But Walt Disney World was like a whole other ball game. It felt very overwhelming. And so you and I both waited until someone else was willing to do all the planning and show us around and take us before we went. But I've been back a few times and it's starting to grow on me quite a bit, I have to say. And so today I thought it would be fun to talk about the differences. And like, I think when I say depends, when people ask me the question, it depends on the type of vacation you are. And of course, the biggest thing is location, right? Because some people are just closer to Walt Disney World. You and I were closer to Disneyland. So a lot of times that does play into it. But if you're looking for like a vacation that you could go to either one, the distance doesn't matter to you, we're going to talk about how to decide on that today. And we have a free quiz that you can do that will have a little more like personalization to it. And it will tell you which one we think is right for you. And you can find that castletalkradio.com/freebies and take that quiz and find out what your ideal Disney park is. The first thing I want to talk about that makes the decision is length of vacation. I think that's a big factor on which one you choose. How long would you say someone needs to be able to go to Disneyland at minimum to make it worth going?
At minimum 2 days. I mean, obviously you can do as much as you can cram in, even into one day, but that's not a vacation per se. At minimum 2 days, but really the sweet spot is 3 days.
Yeah, I agree. And at least 3 nights. Like, even if, do
Yes.
2 park days, at least 3 nights. That's my personal feeling as well there. But I feel like at Walt Disney World, you need at least 4, preferably 5 days if you want to spend any time at the resort, or if you really want to delve into like explore each country in detail, you're going to need an extra day in that park. So I definitely think length of the time is a big factor. Like, I can imagine a long weekend at Disneyland. I cannot imagine a long weekend at Walt Disney World. Part of that because it takes me a full day travel to get there, right? So that plays into the distance again. And if I'm going to travel for a full day, I need to stay at least 5 days before I travel home. So I definitely think that plays into which one is right for you. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the style of vacation. That is one thing you and I noticed when we were at Walt Disney World, is the style of vacation was different. Like, you can do the same sort of vacation at Disneyland, but most people, when you go to Disneyland, you're like, go, 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 go. And I felt like Walt Disney World, it was more a resort style, like you want to lay back, you want to soak in your room in your hotel. What did you think about it?
I mean, the dynamics of the trip that we went on was for people that create content about Disney. So it was really packed schedule and like getting us to try everything. I feel like I really need to go back. It's on my inside of my head 2025 list, which I really need to like sit down and plan out because I want to see kind of how a family does Walt Disney World, how it's done as a regular guest and not just getting your feet wet and everything. So I feel like it's something that you want to spend like 5 park days, or at least 4, but like have a buffer day in the middle and like totally do a full week in Florida at your resort.
Yeah. So I have gone with my family now. I've gone a few times without family, spent time with friends. And yes, I am taking you in 2025. We're going.
Mm.
You don't have a choice.
I almost said 2026 because we're already thinking, but I would like to do 2025.
I found it was imperative for my family to be able to go back and relax at the hotel and stuff, which I do at Disneyland too. The other thing is that it's a more laid back. I think you have to be a little more laid back at Walt Disney World. And our friend Leslie would probably disagree with me, but because there's less rides in each park and there's usually pretty spread apart, I feel like that leads to a more relaxed vacation. And that brings me to my next point is whatever your top priorities are going to help decide which one you should go to. So for those whose top priorities are rides, which park do you think I would say? Which comes
Which park? Like at Walt Disney
like
World or which
like
resort?
resort, sorry.
Resort, I would say West Coast Disneyland Resort for rides.
Yes. More rides, I believe they still have more rides. It is, and the rides are closer together, so it's easier to get a ton of them done. Um, that was one thing. Did that shock you at Walt Disney World, how much we had to walk between each ride?
Not only that, but like transportation in between your resorts and stuff like that. I think I just pulled up a list of the attractions like Magic Kingdom and or Walt Disney World. You can filter it out by parks too, but there's tons of attractions, but so many of them are also meet and greets because they do them a lot differently than Disneyland. There's so many places that you can go and meet characters, and so that's like part of your day as well. Maybe you won't be riding
Yeah.
rides all day. You're also going to be stopping and doing these other things.
Yeah, so they have more attractions, which can mean meet and greets. It can mean shows. It can mean all the entertainment stuff, but they have less rides. And so if you rides are your priority and you're just one of those people that wants to go on ride after ride after ride, then Disneyland's definitely the way to go. But if you like it a little more spread out and you want to mix in some other stuff, then I would say Walt Disney World. This one I'm interested in your take. You didn't get to eat everything at Walt Disney World, but you did get to try some places. So, foodies, where do you think they should go? Disneyland or Walt Disney World?
I think they should go to Walt Disney World because Epcot and because all the festivals and because one thing that I really wish I could do is like the Eat to the Beat concert series where you can like see all these concerts and you can have specific spots like a dining package. They have some bands and performers that come back year after year and then they have new ones and I was pretty surprised at the names that they can pull in for these things.
Yeah, they get some good ones. I just saw at this just a few days ago when we're recording this, it'll probably be like a month ago by the time this airs. But Tiffany performed. Our friend Tanya, who was on the podcast, she had some clips of that. She goes to so many of them. I'm so jealous. They get Boys to Men
That's
all the time. Lance Bass and Joey Fatone and lots of different
okay.
people. It's
Boys to Men spin-off right here. Is End of the Road a breakup song or not? I just want to know your opinion.
I have not listened to that song in so
Okay,
long.
guys,
Yeah.
you gotta comment and tell me. Like,
Yeah.
I know what my answer is. My husband's answer is different, but Is that a
Okay, so
breakup song?
we're solving a marital dispute here, everyone. Make sure you let us know
Okay,
your
keep going.
answers.
Keep going. Foodie. Do
Okay.
you agree?
I Yes and no. Like, I feel like some of the food is good, and I feel like some of it is a big miss. Like,
Mhm.
it's really weird. Like, if snack-wise, I think Disneyland over World. The
Okay.
churros are better, like all that stuff. But as far as the offerings of restaurants and stuff, that's where I think Walt Disney World. I do love that they have so many festivals in Epcot that you can taste around the world, like feature so many different things. So Epcot, I definitely think is a good foodie one. I wish they had sip and savor passes, which I don't
Seriously.
think they do for any of them. Trying to remember, but I think none of them offer sip and savor, but they always have some sort of food festival going on over there. So yeah, it's great. So my next one is if someone is more like they like the park atmosphere and then entertainment options, which park would you choose? Resort would you choose? Sorry.
As such like a newbie to World, I would say Disneyland, but I don't really know.
World all the way. You got
Okay.
lots of shows like Festival of the Lion King and those types of things. You have a nighttime show in Epcot, in Magic Kingdom, in Animal Kingdom they do the Tree of Life one, things like that.
Yeah,
Tons of
probably
things that
nighttime shows wins just considering their shows at night because you can go to
yeah,
different parks and have different things.
yeah. And they have other shows like the Indiana Jones stunt show. I can't remember, was that one announced that it will be closing during D23?
I
I
don't
don't remember,
remember.
but there's just a lot. There's a lot that show wise over there. So if you're not a rides person, I think that one wins. Disneyland has a decent amount, and I'm totally fine just soaking up the park atmosphere there. But if you want a lot of different shows and things, you're going to want to do Walt Disney World. Okay, this one, I'm not sure if you will agree with me or not, is shopping. If you just want to go and get the merch and shop, which one would you choose? World or land?
I would think that World has more options just because they have more parks and like I see they bring stuff over to Disneyland. Like there's some really cute Norway ears right now that are being sold at Disneyland that are from Epcot. But again, on my trip, shopping really wasn't like even on the
We were too
radar.
busy. We were so busy. Um, yeah, I am going to say the opposite. I'm going to say land. I am actually so disappointed every time I go to Walt Disney World that there's not more stuff that's just Walt Disney World stuff. Like I always
Okay.
feel like, oh, I've seen this exact same thing at Disneyland that just says Disneyland instead of Walt Disney World on it. I don't feel like there's enough that's different. And then as far as like Disney Springs, which is a huge shopping area that you can go to, most of the stuff isn't Disney themed shops. Like you have a few, but you're not really doing Disney themed shops. And so for
Gotcha.
that reason, I actually prefer Disneyland with their merch to Walt Disney World. And that's going to be controversial, I'm sure. Okay, let's say you're someone that wants to have some fun water excitement. Where are you going? Like
The
you
World
love
because they have two water parks?
yes, that was an easy one. So I think now I will say there are some other options around Disneyland. You have Great Wolf Lodge in Garden Grove. You have Courtyard Anaheim theme park entrance that has a water park. You have Cambria that has a mini like water park, not as big as Courtyards. And then of course you have the Disneyland Hotel with the monorail slide. But if you really want a full theme park or like water park experience, that's obviously going to be World. And don't forget that in 2025, you get free admission to a water park on the
That's
day you
true.
check in if
Ah,
you are staying at a Disney resort. And so you can book through our
okay.
partners at Getaway Today by going to getawaytoday.com/Castle Talk.
Okay.
On there, they'll have their wholesale rates that you can book through them. But if they don't have the hotels you want, you can also get a quote from them by calling 855 Getaway. Just tell them that Castle Talk Radio sent you so you get our exclusive discounts. So we talked about the water parks recently, and you mentioned how they're kind of like ever since the pandemic, they don't open at the same time. So
Yeah.
they have Blizzard Beach, which is in the winter, and then they have Typhoon Lagoon, which is in the summer.
But when they're open or they're theming?
Both, because it's
Okay.
themed to the same. It's like a winter theme. It's
Okay.
open in
Okay, so
winter.
that's how you know, like, it matches?
That's how it's been. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Isn't that kind of fun? That is kind of fun, I
Mhm.
think. Yeah. So, and they have great theming. So Typhoon Lagoon is very much a summer theme, and Blizzard Beach is very much a winter theme. And I think they switch around October, November, which
Okay.
one's open, and then in March or April they switch again. I want to know from people that are listening. So now I have another thing to answer in the comments is which one do you prefer? Because a lot of people say they prefer Typhoon Lagoon, but
Okay.
think Blizzard Beach has a better like storyline as far as
Okay.
a random snowstorm comes to Florida, like this
Cute.
blizzard and then it's all melting. So I don't know. I want to know everyone else's opinion.
Okay, but it's day of arrival in 2025 if you stay on site, on
Yeah.
property.
Yes.
Cool.
Don't forget to go take the quiz at castletalkradio.com to find out which resort, Disneyland or Walt Disney World, is better suited for your vacation style and your needs. It'll have more details with things like rides and questions about other things that might affect that choice other than what we talked about here today. And we will see you real soon.